Hi, in this video on my Arduino Mega2560 I am continuing with my experiment with 3 LEDs and adding a motor. It's a 9 volts motor maximum, and in experiments with my Raspberry Pi I tried it before, but that is only 3.3 volts and it didn't run at all. So now I'm going to try to get it run with 5 volts. So let's see how this happens, and what I also had to do in order to set it up is, let me adjust the camera angle just a little bit. I have to improvise with jump wires, so from one output to the breadboard, and then another jump wire from this point to the resistor in front of the motor, which I think is necessary, so that way I reach the distance. And let's hope that all is going to work. So let's see how the code will look like. So in this code, where I have to add something for the motor, I first have to add a line that will represent the motor output. So let's should do that. I will call this subsequently 4. Output value I might use 1, but I'll just for being secure I will use like this, rename it to 4. Looking at the circuit, I've used analog output out pin 3. So I'm copying this and I will use 4 because I defined here output value 4. Then of course I want to print it. Or do I have to print it? Yeah, let's do that. Let's just do print it. And for this I will remove here the print line, because I'm going to add another tab to it, which is output 4, and then put the print line here. And then the question is, will the motor run anyway? I'm very curious, because this is 5 volts, and of course with the pot meter I can regulate the output. So let's see how this happens and what happens. Let me first save this to another file. Save as, and I will call this 3. Yes. Let me add that this is for a motor. Also, oops, for motor, and of course this is for the motor as well. and these are for the LEDs, for the LEDs, and then this is logically for the motor as well. Let's see what happens. Upload. Compiler error messages. Output pin 3 is not declared. No, I forgot that because I didn't scroll up high enough, so is this alright then? Yes, this is alright. It's done uploading. So let's go to serial monitor. I have to widen the field. It says 78, which is of course correct. But now let's see on the camera what actually happens, if anything happens to the motor, because I'm very curious. So let us see what happens with the motor when I handle the potmeter, if anything. So far the motor does not do anything at all. The LEDs, the LEDs do. That is quite clear to see. But unfortunately the motor doesn't do anything, so I have to see if that is due to the input or due to a bad connection. For instance, a resistor or whatever. So let's find out. And then I find some dummies article about how to spin a DC motor, although for a different Arduino it doesn't matter, and it tells you to use a diode as well and a transistor. Consider looking at the transistor. It's an NPN transistor, which is quite common of course, and you have to put the diode across the wires. And in schematics, transistor, and to the collector the motor, and over the motor the diode with the cathode to the 5 volts. So this means that I have to find a diode. So let's try to find one, because we don't want to blow things up. With a slightly different setup for the motor, because I did use according to the scheme, an NPN transistor with the emitter to the ground, the resistor connected to the base, and the collector to the motor, and the other side of the motor connected to the 5 volts. So I had that set up wrong, and as soon as I connect it, I hear the motor active but not running. So now, like previously, I hold the potmeter Let me put this in a side a little bit better, and then you should be able to see it. And if you look carefully, you actually can see the motor run. So with the pot meter I now can regulate all the LEDs, the LEDs, and the motor. I haven't put the diode in place, and I'm wondering if I should. But considering the fact that it runs, and that makes me think it is not quite necessary. But this is a very nice setup like this, and I will build further on this because this is called mechatronics and I love that. So let's see what we can do further. Something remarkable is that when you adjust the speed by using the pot meter, right now the motor is standing still, and you slowly turn the pot meter, and at a certain voltage it starts running. However, when you turn it back, you can it keeps running much longer, far longer than the setting where it started running. So here it starts running, and it keeps slower and slower and slower. So you would expect that it starts running slow and slowly, but instead at this pace it just starts running quite fast. Not quite sure why that is. And here it keeps running very slowly, and then stops without me doing something. And about halfway turning the pot meter, it runs quite fast. Fastest, and stop. Although it runs very slowly, and here it stops. Although you keep hearing the motor, obviously, very pitchy noise. Anyway, I found that remarkable. So let's see what we can do more. And as a little finish, I decide to add a Visitechnic buzzer. And remarkable is that when I add it, just like the LED at the end of the resistor, nothing happens. But when I add it in front of the resistor, can clearly hear it. Very annoying, but that proves that at least the buzzer does not need a resistor in front of it to do it. And with that I say thank you for watching, and to be continued with more experiments.